What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Ready or Not video. I'm excited to bring this video to you guys. Just recently, Void Interactive released a video previewing their AI overhaul for this upcoming June content update. And before we get into the details, they release an announcement regarding the update and when it will be released. Here's what they have to say. We are excited to get the new content update in your hands, as it is still our biggest one yet. At this time, we're putting the finishing touches on the bevy of new mechanics being added into the game so that they're fully playable and testable for our community. As soon as it's ready, we will be deploying an update to our experimental testing branch for supporters to experience and help us find any major issues before the public release. It's been a long wait, but we're ready and excited to share some of what you can expect for this month's content update. Our team has put together a 6-minute video showing off the overhaul to the game's AI, specifically new suspect behaviors, and the built-in, from-scratch cover system that they utilize. We are confident that these new mechanics will add significant depth and replayability to Ready or Not. Now, the link to the original video by Void Interactive will be down in the description. Go ahead and click on that, give them a view, give them a watch, give them a thumbs up, a subscribe. They are the original creators of the footage that you are seeing on screen now. They do have a commentator that pretty much goes through and explains everything you need to know for this AI preview and this upcoming update. However, I am going to go into detail. I'm going to give my own insight on what I'm seeing here. So let's get started. The first thing they kind of show off is an improved unarmed knife combat system. Now, I don't know if I remember any type of unarmed system that they had in the game previously. All I know is that they have a knife combat system, which is a little bit janky. You have eyes on the subject, and 9 times out of the 10, they'll just beeline it right to you. You'll incapacitate the suspect or hit him with a beanbag or some type of less lethal device and get them to comply, and then that's that. It's going to be expanded on now. Subjects with knives will see you, they'll run to cover, they'll go hide in a closet, they'll hide under a bed, and then they'll come out and ambush you when the player least expects it. Now, with unarmed suspects, they'll do something similar. They'll run, they'll hide. If a suspect goes down and there's a weapon on the floor, they have the ability to run up, stun the player, stun the SWAT officer, grab the weapon, and fire upon them, downing them. Now, there's a couple different systems that they kind of go into depth with this. If the weapon is closer to the suspect that is unarmed, they will pick up the weapon first and then engage the player. If the weapon is further than the suspect and the SWAT officer, then the suspect will attack the officer first to stun them, then run and grab the weapon, engaging and incapacitating the officer. The stun looks kind of crazy. I don't know how I feel about it. Your screen is all shaky like you got hit with a flash grenade. I don't believe, realistically, if you get punched in the face, you're going to be that stunned. I feel like they should reduce that just a bit. It's going to make it difficult if you get caught off guard, but I'm sure they'll touch up on it, and I don't think that's going to be the final product in the future, hopefully, because it's a little intense. Moving on a little bit, they go into detail with the suspect cover system, and this is one of the things that I have been looking forward to for a while. I'm excited for this. I know everybody else is as well. It's going to increase the replayability, and it's going to make gunfights intense and immersive. The engagements are going to be intense, they're going to be immersive. AI are going to have a fully working cover system. While they are shooting at the player, at the SWAT team, they will be able to make the decision to move in and out of cover depending on the player's movement. For example, if you're engaging the suspect on one side of a barrier or whatever it is, they will move to the other side depending on which way you move to engage you. Suspects will also know the difference between cover and concealment, which honestly, if I'm going to put my thoughts into this just coming from a realistic standpoint, I think a lot of criminals in real life that don't have a lot of training with firearms wouldn't necessarily keep this in mind. This is more of something that an advanced trained suspect or you know, military background police officers, they kind of keep that into consideration. And one thing that I've kind of learned is dumb suspects won't know the difference between concealment and actual hard cover, and that actually helps SWAT officers and police officers in the field because it can act like hard cover even if it's just concealment, because they won't shoot at you. Now, I'm assuming because the AI is going to be advanced, they're going to shoot at you no matter what. I hope in the future they add the kind of like a dynamic, like the meth suspects, for example, making it so that the meth suspects are a little bit dumber than the guys that you see like over on Hotel or Dealership, the guys wearing the full body armor. I feel like depending on the type of suspect you're going up against, they shouldn't have that knowledge, at least in my opinion. So maybe they'll make it so it's dynamic in that sense. Depending on the level will depend on how smart they are in combat and in engagements. And I think that worries me a little bit, especially with the fact that these cover systems are going to make the game much more difficult. And I say that with a grain of salt, and I know some people might also disagree with me to a point, because it is supposed to be a tactical game, it's supposed to be a hardcore game, but I know the game is going to be increasingly difficult with a cover system. It's going to mean that your shots are really going to matter. You're going to need to take cover as well when you're engaging suspects. You'll no longer just be able to point in the direction of where you're getting shot from and be able to take out the suspect every time. Because you'll see they shoot, they take cover, they shoot, they take cover. It's going to make things difficult. It's not going to be the same game anymore. However, I'm excited. Even if it's going to be difficult, I'm excited, and I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be immersive. It's going to be more intense. They do mention slightly in the video bomb vests. I don't know if this is confirmed. I don't know if it's just something, you know, maybe they're hinting for the future, but I think if they're putting it in the video, it's gonna be in the update. So I think we're gonna run into suspects with bomb vests, which is going to change the game a lot. I feel like with all these different updates that we're getting with the AI, everyone's gonna slow down and actually think about how they're approaching rooms. Moving on to cover landmarks, which is something else I've been looking forward to. Suspects will now have the ability to hide under beds, closets, and other concealable areas to ambush the player. Suspects will wait to ambush the player when they are not watching. You can yell for compliance, use grenades, or fire your weapon to make them come out of hiding and get them into custody. You can clearly see here the suspects having the ability to climb underneath beds, little cubby holes. I feel like, just like what I was saying before, you're going to have to slow down a lot. You're going to have to check every corner. You're going to have to do what you see SWAT officers do in real world scenarios on body cams and stuff like that, where you have two officers move up to a point of, let's say, a dark cubby hole or a closet, and he needs to transition to a pistol because it's too tight for a rifle. So you're going to see that. You're going to need to do that in co-op. You're going to need to swap to a pistol to check a very tight cubby hole or corner, a closet, whatever it is. Have somebody cover you from behind with a rifle while you're clearing those super close angles. I feel like that's going to make shotguns very useful as well in this patch. Moving on, they're going to be introducing suspect fake death and suicide. Suspects can now play dead if they are shot close to a door breach or just shot at. Suspects that are on the ground will have the ability to sneak behind SWAT officers, pick up their gun or pick up another gun on the floor that SWAT officers forgot to pick up, and ambush the players, ambush the SWAT officers. You will, however, have the ability to handcuff down suspects. This is something that we were talking about before in another video. Once you're clearing rooms, you're going to have to start getting used to cuffing suspects that are incapacitated to keep them from getting back up, attacking you with a knife or another weapon they might have on their person or a weapon they found on the floor to keep optimal safety. If the suspect's morale drops significantly, the suspect can commit suicide or fake suicide. You can cancel these attempts by utilizing less lethal, yelling for compliance, or using grenades. It makes me think a little bit about having this new feature of fake suicide and suicides, as I remember them way back in the day hearing from somebody. Void Interactive had the ability back then. They were working on AI being able to take civilians hostage, and I feel like they missed an opportunity here. I don't know if it's just because it's going to be something that's difficult to do, which I'd assume that's the reason. I think we would get it in the future, but I really hope they bring that in. It's something that Zero Hour is that it's something that Zero Hour has. If you guys have ever played Zero Hour, where the suspects will grab a civilian, put a gun to their head, and you have to shoot the suspect in the head to keep the civilian from being shot, or sometimes the suspect will take the gun off the hostage and shoot you instead, which causes you to possibly shoot the hostage because you are engaging the threat. So I hope they add in something like that. I feel like we're getting really close to that, and that is something that I know that was talked about, and then I guess we heard they scratched it. They weren't gonna, you know, they threw it away. They weren't gonna use it, but maybe they'll do that. I think it'd be really cool. Either way, moving on. This is something that I also heard about from a friend with Void Interactive, is suspects having AI roaming and idle animations rather than just standing still and staring at walls. On certain maps right now, only Hotel, Port, and Dealer, AI will have new idle and roaming animations. This is going to be great for immersion. Suspects can be seen smoking, admiring art, as they state in the video, texting, using the restroom, punching walls. Obviously, I'm just assuming that this is just a fraction of what they're actually able to do. We'll probably see them, you know, sitting down on desks, maybe writing on a piece of paper or leaning up against a wall. Now, I would assume, depending on how they did this, that if there is gunfire, if it's obviously known that SWAT is in the building, that suspects might get out of those animations and like maybe get into cover, ready to engage a threat coming through the door, or maybe they'll be standing with their gun to the door rather than, you know, continuing with the idle animation, because obviously you'd think they'd hear the gunshot, so they're no longer just going to be sitting there texting. But I don't know. I think that's pretty advanced. We might see that, maybe not, but that was one of my concerns when I saw that, is if there is an engagement, you know, I feel like they're not going to be standing there texting anymore. We'll just have to see. That's going to be all that we're going to be looking at. I think it looks really cool. I can't wait for this June update. We're going to be getting it soon. Now, I'm hoping, I'm a little bit disappointed, I'll be honest, with the whole suspect roaming and idle animations. I honestly thought we were going to get that for every map, and we're not going to get it for every map right now, but they're probably working on it. That was the one thing that I was worried about, because it would be so cool to see that on every map, but I know it's a lot of work to be able to put in all those animations for every map. We're talking hours and hours of work to do, you know, because we're talking unique animations for every room, or maybe not every room, but some of the rooms, and just every map's got its own little unique animations for the AI. So it makes sense, and hopefully in the future for map makers, custom map makers, you'll have the ability to set up idle animations for yourself and have, because I mean, just imagine what you can create as map makers now. Once they release this editor or the modding tools or whatever, like they were talking about, I cannot imagine what you guys are going to create, and I am so excited to see some of these crazy maps with these new additions. It is going to be insane. Either way, there's not much to touch up on here. This is what we've got. This AI Overhaul preview looks absolutely amazing, and it's only going to be a matter of time. This June update's coming. I'm going to be streaming. I'm going to be putting out a video every other day if I can. I am ready for this. I know you guys are as well. Hopefully it won't be too much longer. That's going to be the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.